Welcome to the Feral Housewives. I'm Hillary.
I can't say it creepy.
And I'm Kimberly.
And we have a guest with us today.
I'm Jordan.
That was amazing. Welcome to our Halloween episode. We are here, as you heard, with Jordan and
The neighbor who comes in the back door.
so we're excited to do our Halloween episode. I'm Hillary.
And I'm Kimberly.
I was going to do it again.
I wanted you to.
Oh,
I'm Jordan.
So today we're going to be telling our scary stories and creepy moments that we've had with our families and husbands and whatever we feel like talking about. It's kind of a free-for-all, I feel like, right? So first we'll start with our feral moments of the week.
yep.
Who wants to start?
You can start.
Me? Okay. I don't know if I wasn't prepared.
I'm not prepared either, actually.
I can start if
Okay,
you want.
Jordan, you start.
And we'll categorize this as feral. I was a little worried it would be more of a mom fail, but there's no such thing in the Feral Housewives Club.
No, heck no.
Today, actually, my almost 2-year-old was happy as could be, was playing outside in the mist, as Sean would say, not the rain, which made me feel better about this story. It was not raining. It was just a light mist drizzling from the sky. Playing in her outdoor kitchen, only in a diaper, no shoes on, nothing. And I handed her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and she was mowing it while out there. And I needed to change her diaper, and I hadn't. And I was like, wow, this is a very feral motherly moment for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't even see her doing that.
I got a picture.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I documented my
I
feral
actually almost sent it to Hillary and was like, do you think this is acceptable?
I document my domesticated moments.
Let's see. Okay. I have to think. We're going to have to edit this part out because I honestly was not prepped for this.
I'll have to edit it out. It adds to our feralness.
Not if I got to think for a long time.
I have one. So last week, Kit, our cat, goes outside a lot. He's indoor, outdoor, Dobby. Anyway, and he's been hunting a lot. And Kit and Hank found a dead bird in the yard that he had mauled. So I don't know why they didn't tell me, but they didn't tell me. And so Kit got a shovel and they dug a hole and they picked the bird up on the shovel and threw it in the hole and buried it, picked flowers, put it on the grave, said a prayer, and then they came in, they're like, Mom, we buried the bird that Dobby killed. And I was like, what? Did you touch it? And they're like, no, of course not. You taught us not to touch dead birds, but to pick them up with the shovel. So yeah.
How many dead birds have you had to deal with that they knew that to use the tool?
Only one, but then we had a baby bunny because we have the wild rabbits in our area, and Dobby pulled one up onto our sidewalk.
Yeah.
And
Elmer fudded it.
Yeah. So our kids did something, and then our dogs got at a possum one night too. Mm-hmm. It's just all kind of feralness at our house. And yes, my children have run around in the rain, not mist, the rain. And I don't think a diaper, but like the other day, Tommy was running around outside with no shoes on and it was like pouring. I'm like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, she was having so much fun. She didn't feel that cold, and it was kind of muggy out that I was like, well, I'm just going to, a win's a win.
It wasn't a cold rain. Like,
no, it was pretty warm still yesterday too.
That's good though that they buried it and did flowers and didn't put like it in a circle of rocks and something seance-y or
and like
something.
do something creepy.
Yeah.
We wanted to
Some hocus pocus stuff.
We wanted to talk to the red or to the dead bird.
The bird's talking through me now, Mom.
This is what the bird has to say. Stupid cat.
Well, I mean, yesterday we went to go out. Where were we going? Somewhere with you yesterday? And I don't know. Where were we going? Anyways, and I was prepping my kids to get ready to go. And I was like, make sure you're dressed to go.
We went to school yesterday.
We did go to school. Maybe it was
But we went
Saturday.
separately.
I don't remember. Anyways, basically, I was like, okay, guys, get your clothes on. Get ready to go. And they all had their
Friday.
Friday.
Open gym.
Okay, there we go. Open gym, yes. And I was riding with you to open gym. And I was like, get your clothes on, get your shoes on. And Kim was picking me up. They all had their clothes on. Thank goodness. And then we're getting in the car.
Oh, yes.
And then Kim's starting to drive away. And Kit's like, everyone doesn't have shoes on. And I turn around and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You don't have shoes on? You're 6 years old. You're going to be 7 next month. And he's like, looks at me and laughs and like wiggles his toes. And I'm like, seriously? Come on. And I was like, well, now you don't have shoes on, and we're gone. And so we just went to open gym, and then we went to Joann's, and then we went to the pet store without shoes the whole rest of the day.
And
we
he
came
complained.
home. Yep.
It hurts my feet to walk in the parking lot. Will you carry me?
Wait, was
Yep.
this the time? Is this the same pet trip?
No, different pet.
I was
pet
gonna
trip.
say, if you went feral on that.
I did go feral on that guy.
Associate.
I wasn't gonna share that moment. I could share that moment, but
We don't have to name any names. Brendan at Petco. Just kidding.
no, I went to PetSmart to buy some fish for our tank, and the guy wouldn't sell me fish, and it was a big, huge episode. I wasn't gonna like.
She's on the do not sell list. Okay, it's crazy.
I'm on the blacklist.
She's
Do
now
not buy.
banned from all Petcos.
It was PetSmart. and
PetSmart.
They
Soon
made
to
it
be
right.
Petco.
She also may be an illegal animal trafficker.
The guy told me I was illegally housing a crawdad. He's like, it's illegal to keep them as pets. And I was like, looking it up. I was like, you're not. You're lying to me.
It's like crow crazy, but like chip crazy, but
But they made it right and everything was better. But it was a huge ordeal. I called corporate and
And then
everything.
we went to Petco.
So we went to Petco afterwards. Yes, it was a much better experience there. Yeah, I did go to PetSmart, a different one, to try to buy a girl guppy because I was not about to go to the other PetSmart again to risk seeing that person.
yeah.
And so I went to the other PetSmart, and it was a Friday, and they're like, we don't sell fish on Friday. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just striking out with PetSmart everywhere I go. So
You should get a bunch of the same fish you wanted to buy and show up like Pretty Woman and be like, aren't you mad you didn't sell them to me? And like walk out.
Honestly, you were like right. He got in trouble. They sold you the
Mhm.
fish. I would go back and be like, I'd like more fish, please.
yeah,
Tell me no now, sucker.
Seriously, it was bad. But
When I heard that story, I was like, wow, you went feral. I like it.
I did.
You're not happy.
I was not. I was stomping out of that PetSmart.
I feel like it takes a lot. I don't think I've ever seen you like angry.
No,
And I've lived next door for 2 years.
almost 3.
Yeah.
That's because you're not in the house.
I've seen her angry. Mainly at her children.
Well, that doesn't
I've
count.
seen you
Sean.
mad at Sean once or twice, but yeah, not too often. But anyways, I guess those are my feral moments. They're not too crazy. I haven't had that many feral moments lately. My children need to get up on this, man.
They need to start misbehaving more.
Edwin got in trouble at school though. He would not listen to the teacher, and she made him sit up in the front of the school. Oh my gosh, in the front of the class by him. Robin was like, "You can sit right here, right next to me in the front." And I was in the classroom. I was like, "Do it."
Oh man.
Yeah.
It was Robin. She's
Mhm.
so like nice too.
Oh yeah, no, he was being a little crap, man. I was like, "Do it, make him go sit up there."
I
So
mean,
he did.
because she like puts up with a lot from students.
Mm-hmm.
I would have cried. I have authority figure issues. Anytime somebody of authority gets mad at me, I break down.
Well, after that, I chewed him out once. Like it was he and one other kid, and they both got separated, and each sat on the side of her.
I could only imagine.
Yeah, And
I'm pretty sure I know who it is.
yeah. And then after like she finished circle time or whatever, I made him come over and talk to me, and I like chewed him out, and I was like, you're going to go and apologize to her when class is over because you're being very disrespectful, and you're going to straighten up after this. And he did. He was fine after that, and he was much better.
Did he cry when he got in trouble?
Mm-mm. He rolled his eyes and he was like, fine. That's what he did. And then he was fine. So
Kit would have been like, oh my gosh, I had to sit by the teacher.
I know. I would still cry today. If I cry if I get pulled over. Don't even get me started on that situation. I'm technically a criminal right now. I have an expired license.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, it's harder to follow the law than not because it is a wreck of things happening at the DMV, and I was down a rabbit hole with them today. I was on a phone call for almost an hour trying to solve issues because I had to go to Social Security first, and you need all these documents. And I'm like, who has their certified birth certificate on hand?
I do.
Okay, 2 hands I see. There we go. Okay, well.
Mine's in the safe. However, we didn't have them for a long time, and I had to order them.
Yeah,
for Sean.
And mine's like 200 days because it has to come from New York. It's like through Vital Check. Well, I'm out like 70 something bucks and then 50, but I changed my last name and then through Social Security. And then I go to the DMV and they're like, well,
did you only order one?
I don't know, probably.
Because I ordered 2 or 3 when I think I ordered 2 because I always have 2 on hand.
I'm going to laminate it when it gets here. I'm going to put it in a frame. It's going on my wall. I'm going to look at it every day.
Yeah, I put mine in the safe. I have 2 of Sean's and 2 of mine. And then when the kids were born, I was like, I don't want to have that problem. So I got 2 of each of theirs as well.
But I'm like, if I get pulled over, I feel bad for the cop who's going to hear my sob story because I want it heard before. If I write me up, but you better, somebody give me my woes, you know?
Are you doing the real ID?
Well, I can't without my birth certificate, and I can't get my birth certificate without a valid license. Do you see the rabbit hole?
Oh, no.
Because,
yes.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation. And then they're like, oh, call Social Security and have them spit your name back. I'm like, that's not how it works, Bob. Okay?
Can you just renew your license?
I can. So I applied for it. We'll see if it gets rejected because I have to put my Social Security number in, and now Social Security has me with a different name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I really screwed the pooch here because God forbid I waited 2 days before it expired to go down to Social Security. Which if you want to get some sightseeing in, go to the Social Security office. Things were popping off. The security guard screaming at a guy in jorts, denim shorts. It was wild. That was scary. Speaking of scary stories.
I was going to say, the DMV, Social Security.
I was like, Ryan, he's yelling at people. We got to go.
You're like, I can't take that pressure. He's an authority figure.
Well, they were mad that I got helped right when I got there because I had an appointment. And they were screaming about, I think, me. And I'm like, I had an appointment. And I'm like, Ryan, go show him that I had an appointment. He's like, I'm not associating with anybody who's yelling. Like, no.
It's like, no one cares about the crazy yelling person.
Oh, man.
I yell, like, I do cry when I get angry, but if someone is like rude to me or yells at me, I will. I don't have any problem yelling back.
Yeah, I get soul crushed and then I get really mad and I like fume about it for like weeks.
Yeah.
Because I wish I would have done something.
Yeah.
Or I go too hard in the beginning and I regret everything.
So yeah, and I think that comes from some of the jobs I've worked in because I was a pharmacy technician. So
yeah.
I am totally like okay putting people in their place.
Do you guys have like a specific Halloween that sticks out in your memories?
Yes.
For like me as a child, or is like
any Halloween? Yeah, like I went trick-or-treating once and I was actually going to ask her permission to tell this story. So sorry in advance to the person I did not ask permission for. Oh, that was freaky. There was like,
was that your cat?
I think
cat going crazy.
Sounded like the dog. I don't know.
The dog's name was Sean.
Oh, then it was
Claudia.
It was a ghost cat, a ghost dog.
We're testing our sound effects here.
Hillary really, really likes it.
Oh, you were gonna say yours. Your favorite Halloween.
Oh, You were in the middle of yours.
Oh, yes. The story you were going to share.
You know what? This week has been a doozy. How many times did I leave my phone somewhere this week, too? And then I left it over here after saying how I left my phone. I was like, well, I got to get my head on right. I'm a criminal. I'm leaving my phone places.
She's like, I have 2 names.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't even know my last name. I was like, is a social security one legal or my driver's license? Like, which one are we prioritizing as like the official last name?
Yeah.
I feel like share or something. And instead of just one name, I got 4.
You're like, I have 2 identities.
And both of them seem crazy. But I went trick-or-treating as a kid, and it's like one of the Halloweens I'll always remember for the rest of my life. And it was with my best friend who was an only child, and her mom was kind of like my second mom. And so she would drive us around, and like we would go to like not the fancy neighborhoods, but the ones that, you know, handed out like the fancier candy bars and stuff. And she was driving us up to this one neighborhood, and I'll never forget even the house. She pulls up front, and it was a 2-door type of car. So my friend had to lift up her chair to allow me to exit. And it had a sunroof. That'll be important later. We go up, we trick or treat. There's a grown man sitting on like the porch, and he scares us, right? We scream. Mm-hmm. We think that should be the end of it because he's a grown man. Mm-hmm. He starts chasing us.
Oh, no.
And we're full out sprinting back to her mom's car. We're both screaming hysterically. I'm kind of more laughing than screaming. She has to wait for me to like dodge into the back seat. She throws the seat back, gets in the passenger seat, but the sunroof is open. Her mom is like, what is going on? Because she couldn't even see the man like chasing us. Mm-hmm. And he's reaching in the sunroof. And she's screaming so loud. She pees herself. And her mom, she's like, I peed. I'll never forget her mom being like screaming her name and being like, what? Like, and laughing. Like, it was just, and I just was, I mean, I'll never forget like laughing so hard, and like, thank God for leather seats. But I just like, I remember at that age, I was like, this is it. This is what I aspire to like do for somebody else.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Or give them a heart attack.
Yeah. How old were you?
I had to have been like 11, maybe 12.
Oh my gosh. Did she know the guy?
No, we didn't know him.
What?
Yeah, no, but I'm like, that's like the level of like scaring that I aspire to be at.
What Jordan didn't know is that this guy's a legit serial killer and almost got killed.
That's crazy.
But she remembers this event.
Like her mom wasn't like in on it or anything?
No.
Oh my gosh. I would have been,
no, she was
the
just
mom,
so,
I'd have been like start driving away.
She's like,
did the guy like stop and start laughing?
He did. And like he kind of backed off and stuff, but it was like, oh man. I just like, I vividly remember sitting in the backseat and like in front of me watching it play out. And in my head, I can still picture it like a movie playing.
Mm-hmm. That is, oh my gosh, I would have been terrified.
And so because of that incident, I want to pay it forward. And my family's doing Nightmare Before Christmas. And I was going to be this sexy Oogie Boogie with this like potato sack dress and cleavage. But I think I'm going full inflatable. And I'm going to be a lawn ornament and then chase the kids once they come up. And I'm going to give somebody something to tell on a podcast 20 years from now.
There you go.
There's like one time this inflatable chased me. Just don't do it to my kids.
Sean said, he's like, what if you get punched in the face? And I was like, I won't see it coming because I'm in this inflatable suit.
You'd be like, ah!
He's like, maybe have a sign for the parents. And I'm like, they're not going to read. Mm-mm. I was like, I'm going to have to just crouch and like be a bit lower.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be amazing.
So my, like, one that stands out to me is when I was in 5th grade and we went trick-or-treating. And I remember, like, the day, like, we came home from school and it was kind of, like, cloudy and, like, the wind was blowing and my mom had us raking leaves and it just felt very, like, fallish. And then when we went trick-or-treating, we always went up this street and there was this they had all these really cool houses. And it was, like, one of the, like, nicer neighborhoods that did the big candy bars and stuff. And so we went, and my mom is really short. My mom is only like 5 foot. And my dad is not particularly tall. So this guy, he's a pediatric dentist where I lived. and he was looking out the window and he saw my parents and he didn't see that they had kids and he thought they were teenagers. So he put on this mask, and we lived in the mountains. And so he went like out, down, underneath. Everyone has like houses are on stilts on the side of the mountain, and they have driveways that are kind of like wooden and built out. I don't know if that makes
That's
sense.
terrifying.
Like, yeah. So he went out under their like wooden platform, and we went to trick or treat, and he like jumped up and over the railing with like this mat. Totally looked like this like half goblin. And I was the oldest. So like I was 10. So my brother was only 5. Like he was really little. And Brittany was 7. And so we just started screaming, and all 3 of us start climbing up my mom, who's also screaming hysterically. And my dad is laughing at us. And then all of a sudden the guy's like, oh my gosh. And he rips off the mask. He's like, I'm a person. I'm so sorry. I thought you were teenagers. And my dad was just laughing, and we were like crying, sobbing, and like all just standing there. And then he gave us extra candy.
Was your mom so flattered? Because that would make my year. If somebody scares me this year and they're like, we thought you were a teenager, I'd be like, oh, that's sus, or something teenager back.
I don't know. She would be like, I don't think she was, because we literally like climbed up her body.
Yeah.
And my dad just stood there and laughed.
See, that level of commitment of like climbing, like prodding up a mountainside just to scare somebody, I respect it.
Well, like a lot of them, they would have like, you'd walk in, so they'd have like a wooden deck driveway. And then you'd walk in, and you're on the main level of the house. And then you'd go downstairs. And
okay, when you trick or treat, you go to these doors, Kim. You don't go inside their homes.
Well, no, but I'm just saying. So a lot of them had the same layout. And so when you went downstairs, they usually had like a door down there that you could get out, and like, because my friend had one, and you would open the door and you would be underneath the driveway. So you would just have to go around. Like, you wouldn't have to scale a mountain. But
I don't know.
Time up? Anyway, so you wouldn't have to scale a mountain, but still, it is impressive. Like,
that was scaling the mountain, going around it. I don't know.
No, you just walk up and you're like underneath the drive. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
That was me falling down the mountain. That
Which
noise
would be scary. Anyway, but it does. It takes a lot of.
Do you like being scared?
I do. Yes.
That's why we watch scary movies on Saturday nights.
And when I get scared, I laugh and cry and scream hysterically. Like, I'm like oh my gosh, is this real? Like, I used to love to go to like haunted mazes and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My dad has a whole YouTube channel of, I think, that his coworker has of him just getting scared. I mean, I know he has a Snapchat series.
Funny.
I mean, Adam loves to scare me. I finally got really mad at him because I was like, I've given you 3 children, and when you scare me, sometimes I pee myself. But like one time we'd watched a scary movie and my sister was over, and they turned off. I went to the bathroom. We were getting ready for bed, and I walked out, and all of the lights in the house were off. Like, all of them. And it was so dark, and I didn't have my phone, and I'm like standing there, and I just know that Adam and Sarah are waiting somewhere in the dark to scare me, which is almost worse, because then like every like sense is like, and I'm just like walking through the house, and I'm like, this is not funny, and I'm like crying, laughing.
That's when you got to counter scare. See, I think I'll teach you my ways. I'll get on I'll be like a worming across the floor. Like, you want to scare me? Oh, it's going to be, I'm flipping the script. I'm going to scare you way more than you scared me.
One time Adam did it, and I thought he was behind the door. So I like opened the door, and then I shut it really hard to like shut it on him. And then from across the room, he's like, you thought I was there? And I was like, ah! I mean, like, yeah.
That's what I do. I'll like kick the door. Like, if I think they're hiding behind it or something, I'll kick it to like scare them back.
Yeah.
Or I'll do the same thing. I'll like slam the door or something, thinking they're behind it or whatever. But
what's your favorite Halloween?
Well, I have some very vivid like times I was scared on Halloween. One was when I was like 5 or maybe 4. I was little, and my mom worked at the mall somewhere, and she took me to this haunted house that was across the street, and maybe she let her friend take me. I don't know. Maybe she was working and I thought I was with her, but I think I was with the friend. And then she's like, yeah, you can take her to it or whatever. Like they said it was kid friendly, air quotes here. And they took me over to it. And all I remember is we were walking across this bridge and they were grabbing at my feet, and they weren't supposed to be allowed to touch your feet or your body or anything at all. And they were grabbing my ankles, and I was terrified and I was freaking out, and I like ran from the thing screaming and crying. And I was traumatized from that. But then I remember when I lived in Utah, I went with a bunch of my girlfriends and guy friends from school to this haunted, it wasn't a haunted maze or like, it was like, it wasn't Pioneer Square. I don't know. It was some big, like, not farm or something, but a field, and you like go down like hills all haunted and everything. And as you go, like there's these witches at this cauldron, and they gave you a string, and they're like, don't lose your string. If you lose your string, you are gonna die. Exactly. And so we're like 12, and we're going through and we're like holding onto our strings, and we're with them, and we get finally towards the end of this maze, and there's this guy, and he's like, where's your string? And he's like this big Frankenstein guy, and I like hand him mine, and she's like searching for her string, and she can't find it, and she's like terrified, and she's like, I can't find it. She's like freaking out, and she starts like bawling. And I asked the guy, like, what happens if you lose your string? And he just pushes his button on his like belt thing, and it just goes dun 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 dun. And she just starts freaking out, bawling on the ground. And her brother like gives him her string, or gives her his string, and she gives it to him, and then he just like walks past. I think he was like 16 or something. He was like way older.
That would be Ryan. Ryan would be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was so funny though, and I just distinctly remember her like being super freaked out about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like he's not going to kill you. Come on.
You can't stay
like,
there.
Right. So I remember
but are
that.
they like hiring like, people that aren't like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen some people who work at these like scary houses or like haunted houses and stuff. I'm like, did they do a full background check, or are you just volunteering because
did you sneak in here?
Yeah, I'm like, do you even work here? It's like, she doesn't even go here.
Right? Yeah. But I don't know. And then otherwise, like Halloweens are pretty normal. Like we wore costumes and trick or treat. I mean, when I was a kid, we used pillowcases and ran around the neighborhood and did normal stuff.
Yeah, I've always loved scaring. Didn't always love scary movies because I have to like, have my nail beds and I will chew them to the bone. Like Jeepers Creepers was one of the scariest movies I remember as a adolescent that I watched.
Yeah.
That really did me in. Have you seen Jeepers Creepers?
I haven't seen
This is a year. He's coming, I think.
The Ring was the first one that I grew up every Halloween. My dad we'd watch all of the old Dracula movies and the Mummy movies, from like the 30s and 40s.
Did you know The Mummy was rated like the worst movie ever? Like,
yeah.
Really?
Because my grandpa,
it was great.
Are we talking about the one with Brendan Fraser?
Yeah, that one.
I thought you meant when
the Brendan Fraser one. Oh,
the like older one. When my grandpa was a kid, it was like,
oh, I didn't know there was a one.
It's from the 30s, 40s, something like that.
I've never seen the older one.
It's actually kind of the same story.
Oh, okay.
As the Mummy, but it was like my grandma was like, you can't go see that. It's so scary. It's inappropriate. And that's what I thought you were talking about. But yeah, really, I know so many people who love that movie.
Yeah. But is it scary though? I don't remember.
It's not scary.
My dad blacked out in Jaws in the movie theater. He literally saw black when the shark first comes out and you see him for the first time. He said he just saw black. Shout out Bob.
My grandma was terrified of Psycho.
That is scary.
Yeah.
To this day, it's still scary.
Yeah, like she would not shower.
It's based on a true story.
You haven't seen Psycho?
Mm-mm.
It's actually based on Ed Gein.
Really?
Yeah, I know a lot about it. watch a lot of documentaries.
You're like, it's based off my history.
Yeah, and is it they redid it like for a Netflix show, Norman Bates, the Bates Motel or something.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it at Universal Studios. It's on the backlot tour.
Ryan's never seen Beetlejuice, and I'm like, how big's the rock that you've been living under?
Sean hadn't seen it either.
I haven't,
but we
seen
just
it.
watched it.
My parents would let me see
The old one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then one time I saw part of it, and it was really, really scary, and I was traumatized, so I've never seen it.
Watching
I
it
made
back,
Sean watch
it's a little scary. I could see how it was like, why kids shouldn't watch it.
Yeah. And there's a little bit, risque stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I do, however, believe in ghosts. I have ghost stories.
I was going to say,
Ooh.
should we tell our scary stories?
I have ghost stories, and I also have stories of when I got really freaked out when people tried to break into our house.
I have a ghost story, and then I have
But I have a really
freaky
funny
stories.
story about Kim. When we
Let's
watched
hear
a
it.
scary movie at a house.
Oh, yes.
It was hilarious. It was when Sarah was visiting, and we were over at her house watching a scary movie. And
The Nun.
Yes, The Nun. And we were all sitting in her living room watching it, knitting. And
my couch and my love seat are like across from each other.
then the TV's in the wall on the middle.
And then the hallway.
On the wall in the middle. Yeah.
And then across from where the TV is, there's the hallway that goes from the bedrooms.
Yeah, all the way into the back of the house, like down the hallway in the back. And so we're sitting there watching the show, and like we're just watching it, and then all of a sudden,
And I was like facing them.
yeah, I was on the couch facing the kitchen, which is behind where Kim and Sarah were sitting.
And like it,
And so the kitchen's behind them, and the hallway is like behind them, going towards the bathroom and the bedrooms. So I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, I see somebody walking out of the hallway, and it's like
silently.
dead silent.
And then I look up and I just see the horror on their faces. And
I'm terrified, and I'm like, what the holy freaking crap?
and I feel someone behind me.
And I said that, and I'm terrified. And Kim barrel rolls off the couch. No joke. She's like, what the? And it's the fastest I think I've ever seen her move in her life. She was like barrel rolling off, and she like turns around on the ground like a cat. She's like, who is that?
And then Sarah's like, the controller. And I pick up the controller and I totally throw it.
It was Kit. She was like sleepwalking from the bedroom into the kitchen.
She's like, a girl
to
can't
get
even
some
go to
water.
the bathroom here.
She didn't
I
even like
know.
comprehend. She just kept walking.
Yeah. She didn't know what was going on.
She walked into the bathroom with the light off, and I went and I looked, and I was like, she's standing in the bathroom with the light off. Do you think she's possessed?
It was the funniest thing ever. I like peed laughing so hard. It was the funniest thing.
And Sarah was laughing so hard because it startled her, but not like us.
Kudos for a good fast reaction, though. I feel like
It was so funny.
I wouldn't. I'd be too slow, and then if it was something scary, like I'd be a goner. I'd be the first one gone in a scary movie because I don't react.
I think
quick.
you threw the remote, and then you threw the bottle, the Dr. Pepper bottle. She was like, pew, pew, like throw.
It's a good thing that I
didn't knock her upside the
she
head.
just was like walking all slowly. I'm like, Kit. She didn't even. And then like she's just standing in the bathroom, like staring in the mirror with the light off. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, going to the bathroom. And then she just sat down, went to the bathroom, got up, and went back to bed.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
We love an unfaced queen.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man,
I was like, my heart was pounding.
I think it took me like 10 minutes to stop laughing. It was.
we
it
were
was
laughing
so
pretty hard
funny.
after that.
I haven't seen The Nun either.
It was all right.
It's okay.
My mom
Meh.
watches stuff like that, and she lives out on property. I'm like, how do you sleep at night?
Right.
The best part was Kit walking out, and that was the scariest part of the movie.
It really was. It was.
Oh.
Anyways, okay. So ghost stories. What have you got? Hold on, we've got a ghost here. That wasn't even my ghost one. That was a wrong one. Oh, this is my ghost. That's my ghost. Whoa.
Do
Do you
wanna-
believe in ghosts
I
or spirits?
think so. But I don't have like a scary story about them. I got into a car accident where my car flipped. In Oregon, they put oil in the asphalt when they do road work. And so the first rain of fall is always like the slickest. And I was in a Isuzu Rodeo, which is known for flipping. And there happened to have been a miniature pony sign to my left. And if you saw a sign that said miniature ponies, would you not look? So I looked, head-on collision, totally my fault. My insurance deemed that too, so I'm liability. I'm allowed to say that. And I went flying off the road, and I my car flipped, rolled a couple times.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to climb out of my passenger window from the driver's seat. And I remember being super disheveled and thinking, thank God my dog wasn't in the car because he was going to come with me on this little adventure I was going on. And this lady was in the field talking to me. Her name was Tiffany. And I remember what she looked like. And she was so nice. And she told me, because I was kind of almost, I think, a little bit in shock, or maybe just concussed. I don't know. But
I mean, probably a little bit of both, but definitely in shock.
Yeah, and I could see the people that I hit. There was 2 girls, and they were fine, but I didn't know if there was anybody else in the car. So I just thought everything was fine, and I was hoping it. But I was just so frazzled, and I was kind of hyperventilating. And I just remember her being so nice to me and putting her hand on my shoulder and telling me that everything is just material. Everybody's okay. They're material things. They can be replaced. People cannot be replaced, and you're okay, and to calm down. And then the fireman showed up, and then she said bye to me, and she went off. And I was talking to the fireman because I had a seatbelt burn across my chest, and he was just making sure it was okay, and it was. And now that man's my husband. No, I'm just kidding. No, just totally kidding. But
really?
Yeah. And I was telling him that because he asked if anybody, he's there was nobody else in the vehicle, correct? Or something like that. And I said, no. I said, just this lady that she said she lives on the property right over here. Her name's Tiffany. She helped me once I was out and, whatever. And I was telling him about her. And I said, I just want to say thank you. Make sure that if you guys see her, tell her I said thank you. And then he went and talked to, and the cops started showing up, and then they were all talking. And I guess the same fireman that I talked to came back over, and he said, the girl said, you've been in this field by yourself. And I was kind of taken aback, and I was like, I didn't hallucinate that. I'm I had a whole conversation, and they said, and I said, are they sure they didn't see anybody? Because I honestly wanted to get this woman's address and send her a thank you basket or something. She did so much for me in that moment. But evidently I was alone in this field by myself, according to the 2 witnesses that were watching me. So ghost, spirit, angel, I don't know. So if
That's crazy.
Can't
Or
really,
did they just not see her?
we were in plain view of each other. I was down on the field and they were up, and honestly they were being, these girls they were women, girls, I don't know, they were not being nice to me. They looked enraged, and they were keeping an eye on me, and wanted me to I don't know if they thought I wasn't texting. I wasn't, no alcohol.
You're I was just looking for the ponies.
I said that too to my insurance company, which don't ever admit fault. I was he's what? I had to walk through what was going on and why I lost sight of the road. And I'm I didn't lose sight of the road. I was looking at a sign, and I was going too fast around a curve that came up faster than I anticipated because it took me a second to read Miniature Pony Farm. And
maybe Tiffany owns the Miniature Pony Farm.
So the lady said she lived on the property?
Yeah, she said she lives right I don't know what that's called, not Katie Corner, but when you're right adjacent, next to it, that she was that she was a neighboring property that connected this. So
and they
she
went
wasn't
and
the
checked
actual
the
Miniature
other
Pony
properties
Farm.
and asked everybody?
No, I just asked.
Or were they
the
trying to
girls.
gaslight you and make it look like you were crazy?
Honestly, this was remember the days before gaslighting was a word?
No.
I got gaslit a lot. I'm glad there's a word for it. But
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
That's
I like to think
crazy.
she was a little guardian angel or something, or spirit. I was honestly, maybe she's buried out here. Maybe this is my unsolved murder I need to go hunt and find. I always have a
Wow.
weird...
You
Every
should
time I
look
go
it
in the
up.
woods, I'm I look
That's
for
crazy.
a hand or something that's just barely peeking through. I'm I could be that person that Dateline interviews.
Yeah, you should look up missing persons named
Mhm.
Tiffany in that area.
Well, they don't
That'd
have
be
to be in that
freaky.
area. They could just be, I don't know. That's kind of trippy.
That is
Yeah.
trippy.
I believe in ghosts / spirits for sure.
But that's it. That's the only one I've ever experienced. So
Really?
I'm excited to hear your guys's.
I have a lot of them.
All right, I have 2. that are ghost stories, and then I have one that's just kind of like real life scary. But the first one was when I was 18 and I lived in the mountains. There were lots of ghost stories up there, small towns, but I worked at this resort and everyone said that it was haunted because it was originally like a bootlegger like resort for gangsters and stuff in like the 30s and 40s, and a lot of people, anyway. But one time I was with my friend and we were cleaning this building that had like a bunch of different like separate rooms, kind of like a hotel. Like everywhere else on the property, they had cabin type things, but this one was called the Cedar Building and it had like hotel rooms. And so I was there with my friend and we were cleaning, and it just, the Cedar Building had to be done. So it was just me and her and a couple of the maintenance guys and like just a few people on property. And so we were cleaning and we heard like a door shut, and we went to look and there was like someone at the end of the hallway. And we're like two young girls and we're kind of like, okay, we're like, sir, you're not allowed to be in here. Everyone is supposed to have checked out. And so we went to the end and we were like knocking on the door. We're like, guest services, open the door, guess. And so finally, and we had clearly seen him go into this room. So finally we took our key and we like unlocked the door, and there was no one in this room. And there's no other way out of this room. Like this room was on the 6th floor. And I was like, did you like see that? She's like, yeah, clearly I saw that. And so then we went out of the room, we went back down the hallway to get our stuff and go into the next room, and we heard the door shut, and we looked down and we saw someone like go down the hallway, go out the door and into the hallway and then down the stairs, and we like went chasing after him, and again, like we didn't see anyone. So then we called the maintenance guys and we're like, is there anyone on property right now? Any guests? And they're like, no, all checks have cleared the property. And then we were like, because we clearly saw someone. And like, it was really like, it was really, really scary.
Is this in Massachusetts, you said?
This was in the mountains in California. And I don't know if just someone had like wandered on, and it just looked like they'd gone in this particular room and they had.
But still, how would they have gotten out?
Yeah, like, I mean, the doors were unlocked and everything, but it was really. Like, it was and it was in the middle of the woods, like it was scary. But then so yeah, and that one has always like, and there were other times that I would get like scared in different areas on that property, but that one was like the one where it was just like, oh my gosh, I think like I had an encounter.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. But then the other one that is like really stood out and was when we lived in our house that we still live in right now. And
are you gonna tell me your house is haunted?
No, not now. I don't know. So sometimes when
the bird is haunting her.
What?
The bird.
The bird.
The very
It's all the birds. So sometime when we first moved into the house, sometimes in the hallway I would get like this creepy feeling like I wasn't alone. Which sounds really dumb. Like,
No, I totally get you.
Dumb.
I can feel spirits around too.
Yeah. So
Sometimes,
one time I was standing in the hallway and I felt someone like walk behind me, and I was like, kids, who was that? And like they were like all outside. And then one time I was sitting doing homework at my table because I was in school at the time, and Adam was gone, and I clearly heard someone speak because Adam always walks up and he's like, boo. And I heard him behind me walk up and say, boo. And I was like, when did you get home? But he like wasn't there. And then one time I was out in the backyard, and these were like, it was not often, but it was like over like the course of like a year that these like little things happened. And then one time I was standing in my backyard with my kids, and I looked through the glass door of our house, and I literally thought that there was someone standing in the hallway. Like I thought Adam had gotten home, and I looked, but Adam wasn't home. And like I looked back and they were gone. Like I literally thought that someone was standing there. And I kind of like brushed it aside, and I was like, whatever, because it didn't happen that often. Then one time my sister was staying with us, and my sister, Sarah, is probably one of the most level-headed people I know. Like she does not, I get scared easily. I spook easily. then my wild imagination takes over and I'm like on the ground in a ball crying. Sarah is not that way. Neither is Brittany. Like, I'm the most emotional, I think, and I react the most. But Sarah's very, very, very level-headed. So she was staying with us, and Adam and I had to go to Home Depot. So we left her and the kids at home, and they're like, hey, we're going to stay with Aunt Sarah. She was probably about 19, 20. And all of a sudden she calls me, and she is like freaking out. And she's like sobbing hysterically, hyperventilating. She's like, I need you to come home now. And I was like, is everything okay? I'm like, are the kids okay? She's like, yes, I cannot tell you. I just need you to come home. And I'm like, freaking. And then my anxiety is like, oh my gosh, someone's dead and she's going to tell me. So then I'm like, okay, let me talk to Ryan. So Ryan gets on the phone and I'm like, hi, Ryan, is everything okay? And he's like, I think so. Aunt Sarah just told us to go in the bedroom and shut the door and stay in here. And I was like, okay, we're coming home right now. This is not normal behavior. So we get home, we get inside, and Sarah is still, like, she is sobbing hysterically. She's crying. She's clearly upset. She's shaking. And I'm like, what happened? And she was like, something felt off. And I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, something felt off, something felt weird. And she's like, and I just kept pushing it aside. She's like, and then I was standing right here in that space, that spot where I told you I'd seen someone. She was standing right there, and she's like, and I heard someone whisper in my ear, hey. And she's like, and someone grabbed my shoulder.
Oh
She's
my
like,
gosh.
I am not joking. And like, it still freaks me out.
Ooh,
because
did you smudge your house after?
I just
some sage.
Kind of, yeah. I just like literally went cold, and I was like, did it sound like Adam? And she's like, yes. How did you know? And I looked at Adam. I was like, this has happened to me a few times. And she was like, and I know you guys think I'm crazy. And she's like, but I told your kids to get in the room. She's like, and I went through the house with a knife because I thought someone was in the house. And she was just like, and I don't know, but it just, something felt very, very wrong. And, so yeah. And it was really like, and in that moment, I knew that it was like,
I think you've told me that story. Yeah.
In that moment, I just knew that it was like a real thing. And, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was and then when I called my parents and told my parents about it, they like totally believed my sister. If it was me, they would have been like, are you
like,
sure?
Wait a minute. I had a couple stories back that you needed to hear.
Were you dreaming? Are you sure it wasn't Adam? Are you sure he wasn't home?
Did you ever watch Casper the Friendly Ghost?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember when they showed him as a boy? Were you kids when it came out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when they showed him as a boy?
Oh, yeah. I totally had a crush on him.
My gosh.
Devin Sawa. Heck yeah.
Yeah. My biggest crush.
Oh, yeah.
I remember having like obsessed with him as a
Me
child.
too.
Yeah.
I wonder where he is now. I just thought about, hopefully he was an attractive ghost. He's just trying to connect.
Like, never.
He's like, hey,
anyway,
young lady.
it was really, really, it was very, very intense.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I was like, Adam, we have to move. Get the holy water. And, so
what do they say? The power of Christ compels you. Or is that for an exorcism?
That's for
so, yeah.
exorcism.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Catholic culture.
Yeah. So anyway.
Do they still do exorcisms in Catholic culture?
They do?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure. That's Claudia. I know every little sound we hear now, we're like,
but yeah, so that was like, but I remember standing there, and she was like, I was standing right here. And like the place that I'd been sitting at the table the time that it happened was like right in front of that area. And like, I just was like, oh my gosh. And I had never told Adam that. And I was like, Adam, do you think our house is haunted? He's like, I don't know. He's like, it does seem weird.
You're like, I need you to show a little more concern right now because I am freaking out.
I need you to fix it.
She's out there hammering a for sale sign. For sale with ghost.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's like some people have a lot of like, I don't know what the word is. Like not empathy. It's
Empathic?
Empathic, yeah. Like they can feel the ghosts around them or spirits around them. Like I
Like a medium?
kind of.
Are you a medium?
No, not really. Like I can't tell the future or anything, but like
A medium can like talk to ghosts.
I can't really talk to them, but I can usually, I feel like I can sense when there's spirits around if they're really, really present. Like they're really wanting you to know that they're there. Which I know I probably sound like a crazy person, but so when we lived in Utah, I was in Job's Daughters with the Masons, and the temple, it's not really a temple, it's like a huge giant building, and each room is themed. So they have like an Egyptian room, and they have a red room, and they have like I know those are the two that I remember. They had like a Greece room, or I think a Greek room. Anyways, they had all these different rooms, and then they had a big auditorium where they did like presentations and stuff. And it was a very, very old building.
Oh shit!
Oh man.
I'm so sorry. Uncle John had scared the fellow housewives by popping into their room with a knife and a scary look.
Sean, I feel like I'm not big enough to be Sean.
I like there's like fight and flight, and I just like I froze. You were on flight, and Taylor is like more fight. Oh my gosh.
Now I got set up.
How did you get that? Did you bring the knife in there too and stash it?
Sean gave me the knife.
Where's Sean?
He's in the office.
I thought he was in the bedroom.
No.
And when I saw him come out, I thought that's not Sean. And I thought, did somebody just take out Sean?
At first I totally thought it was Sean, but it clearly wasn't Sean. And
My throat hurts from screaming.
Oh.
I hope I didn't scream. I like how your kids were just sleeping through this. There's a massacre down here, and they're just snoozing.
No, John's like, I want to scare them. Did you wear the mask?
yeah,
I did.
The thing that caught me was that I knew the knife was like.
Bleh! Did you have a good fright? This has been Dracula John with your hosts, Kimberly and Hillary. Not to mention that scary Jordan. Make sure to come back next week for part 2 of this Halloween spooktacular.
When the house goes down hard, I don't even know where to start. But when stars get spooky and things get kooky, it's a good thing that we have the best ghost by our side. Bubbling cauldrons are a must, making potions that combust. Undead moms are the bomb, lay kids trust and listen to feral house schools raising the dead.